Hello, lovely people. How are you all doing today? I hope you're well. I just scratched before I've even half spoken. I'm in clothes again. Yay! Day 7 of the pox, and I've decided I just have to get on. I just have to get on with things. So here we are. It's the end of month 51. I know I say it every month that time flies, but my goodness, this year has flown by, the whole year. But this month especially, it only feels like, it literally feels like a couple of days ago that I was celebrating my birthday. That's right at the beginning of the month. It's true, isn't it? The older you get, the quicker time goes. I really want to slow it down and enjoy myself a bit more. So, let's just have a quick non-fingernail scratch. Darned pox. So today I've had a good look over my body and I don't see any new blisters today. Yay! And the very first blisters, the ones that sort of came on my arms, they're finally drying up a bit. I'm still really itchy, but the itch is subsiding. Thank goodness. I can't get over how this has just wiped me out. I know I'm sort of chipper and perky for the video, but, if I did a video from my bed going, it would be a bit off-putting, wouldn't it? But yeah, it's totally wiped me out. It's quite a shock, really, just how utterly exhausted I feel. So exhausted. Getting out of bed in the morning, I get out of bed, go to the bathroom, and I think, I want to go back to bed. So I've been trying to work all week, but at a much slower pace, taking breaks, trying to be sensible. And actually, a little tiny bit, not a scratch, just a little smoothie rub. I'm sure actually that part of this exhaustion I'm feeling, it's partly because there's a virus in my body and my body's responding to that. But also I think it's just from months and months and months of just having too much to do, running on empty for so many weeks, months now. It's okay. That's what life dealt this year. So you just have to deal with what you dealt, don't you? I'm not very good at being ill, I don't think. I don't often get ill. I was thinking about this yesterday. I was thinking, when was the last time I was actually ill? I get migraines. I've had migraines my whole life. A migraine will knock me out for a couple of days. But otherwise, in terms of actually being ill, yeah, I get a bit of a cold most autumns, and then in the spring I get another bit of a cold, like everybody. I've had flu once in my entire life, about 10 years ago. That was awful. Absolutely awful. When you hear people, like you're at work and someone says, I think I've got the flu. I think, no, you have not got the flu. Just by the very fact that you got yourself to work this morning, just by the fact that you got on a bus and got to work, you do not have the flu. If you had the flu, you can't get out of bed. Anyway, digressing. Yeah, it's odd. I've not been ill much in my life. So I don't think I'm a very good patient. Folk always say nurses are the worst patients. We're very good at dishing out advice and insisting on you looking after yourselves. But then when it comes to us, I don't know. But it's been interesting because my thoughts are going to be all over the place today, excuse me. Partly this is accumulation of thoughts throughout this whole year, but especially in this last week of being poorly, that I've just got to say as well, it's just chicken pox. There are far worse things that people deal with. Of course there are. friends of mine have been going through some really, really, really tough illnesses. So before anyone has a go at me and says, oh, you're always whining, there's people worse off than you. I know. But yeah, I've felt thoroughly miserable this week. And I think it's because, very simply, I'm just such a doer. I'm a get on and do kind of lass. So being at home, sitting still, it's anathema to me. I can't do it. Just can't do it. I think I would be able to do it if I'd got a clean desk. I think that's what it boils down to. You know, in the past, I have been on holidays, I've been travelling through the continent, and I've been very happy to sit still on a beach in Greece somewhere all day, every day, for 4, 5, 6 weeks at a time. Yeah, I can sit still if I'm on a beach. But no, being at home and knowing that I've got so many outstanding jobs, it's been so frustrating to be under the weather. And it sparked a lot of thoughts. And like I say, there have been some other thoughts accumulating as this year's gone on. I'll come on to that in a second. The other thing I've realised about myself, I kind of knew it anyway, but it's been in sharper focus, is I'm really, really not good at asking for help. I just can't do it. I don't quite know why, but I think it's partly because when I think of all my friends, like friends in the local area who I might I could have called to say, hey, would you mind going to the chemist for me? Pharmacist, drugstore, as you say in the States, I think. Would you mind popping to the chemist for me? Or would you mind popping to the supermarket for me to pick up some bits of food, that sort of thing. I just can't bring myself to do it because part of me thinks, I don't want to be a burden to anyone. I don't want to impose on anyone. And they're all busy. They've all got their own to deal with. They don't need my being added to their pile. I think that's my thinking. But two things on that. My beloved great auntie Teapot would never ask for help. And in later years, in the last 20, 30 years or so, even when I was trying to offer it, she would refuse. Until 15, 20 years or so ago, she wouldn't even let me go to her house. She'd say, if you turn up, I'm not letting you in. So stubborn. And in the end, that got her into a real, real pickle, which fortunately, we were able to sort out. So there's that. But also there's that thing of, I know, if I know one of my friends is in trouble, I want to be able to help. In whatever way, whether it's watering their garden or, picking up shopping for them or just, sitting with them for a while, chatting, distracting them, whatever it is, I want to help. If someone was to call me now to say, oh my goodness, Vivi, I've broken my leg, I'm housebound, I don't know what to do, I'd be like, right, don't worry, I'm on it. Right, what's your shopping list? What do you need? I'm coming over. Right, let's do some cooking. I'll do all your cooking for you. Fill your fridge up. You can just microwave your meals. I would be delighted to be asked because I'd be delighted to help. So why don't I flip that around? Why can't I do those two things? They're total opposites. I want to help, but I don't want to ask for help. It doesn't make sense, does it? I don't know where that's come from. I think there have been a couple of times in the past when I have asked for help. I've thought I could rely on someone and then I've been let down. So maybe that has stayed in the back of my mind that, I'm just going to be let down, so why bother asking? I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, so that's where I'm at the moment, still a little bit itchy. I'm going to try to get to the garden. I'm just mindful of not wanting to be around other people. Obviously I have to be really careful. So I'm thinking if I go on a rainy day, there won't be anyone else there, so I'll go and do my gardening in the rain. I need to get to the garden. I want to reassure myself about how it's doing. I'm hoping there are some harvests ready. For instance, I should be able now to dig up some salad potatoes. Oh, I can't wait. This is one of my favourite meals of the year, is those first new salad potatoes with that, remember that gorgeous, massive harvest of broad beans. When did I harvest them? It's about mid-June, I think. I've got 2 drawers full of them in the freezer, in one of my freezers. So a combination of the new potatoes, the broad beans, I will second skin them. I hate broad bean skins, they're horrible. Second skin them. And a finely chopped red onion, a load of mayo, salad, broad bean, red onion, not salad, salad potato, broad bean, red onion salad, yum, yum, yum. So yeah, I'd like to get to the garden to do some harvesting. There's chard to be had. There was, oh my goodness, I've just remembered. Do you remember, it's exactly 2 weeks ago today. I'm actually filming this on Friday. You're going to see it Saturday, I think. You might see it tonight, I don't know. I'll see what the whim takes me. But it's 2 weeks ago today that I had my last gardening session. It was that boiling hot day. I filmed the silent movie day, and I also that day did a quick little mid-month tour to see how things are doing. And do you remember it was in that I'd spotted those two little courgettes? We've actually had quite a bit of rain this week. So of the 2 weeks I've not been in the garden, I went on the Monday and Wednesday to water. On the Wednesday on my way down to Auntie Teapot's. Thursday and Friday Gary watered for me, thank you. Saturday, that was the day I came back to London. It wasn't too hot, it was dry, but then Sunday we had a little bit of rain. And there's been, well, I'm hoping there's been enough rain to keep everything alive. There's certainly been enough rain for those courgettes to have turned into marrows by now. Oh my goodness. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting back to my garden. I miss it so much. And it's one of those things, isn't it, that I think the garden is the most perfect place to be when one is feeling unwell, under the weather, normally. But if one has something that's highly infectious, one has to think twice about going there. So yeah, I think that's what I'm going to aim to do is, go one day when it's chucking with rain. I can garden in the rain. I'm not made of soap. I'm not going to dissolve. I'm thinking things like all the tomatoes will need tying in and the side shoots pinching out. From what Gary was saying about my squash, all the TP squash, oh my goodness. They all needed training and tying in even before I abandoned the garden. So I think the vertical squash, they're going to have taken over horizontally. Yes, so hopefully I can get down there in the next couple of days or so. Yeah, so just back to this thing about having sort of all sorts of thoughts going on this year. This year obviously hasn't gone according to plan. Oh my goodness. Just to say very quickly, I've always thought that I'm not good with change. But when I look back on the last sort of 10 years or so, I realise there have been loads of changes and some really quite big ones. And I've been okay with it all. I think for me, if I've got time to get used to the idea of a change, if I can slowly adapt, and through that adaptation, that brings about a change. That's okay. I've done it. I've been doing it. I am doing it. So this whole, you know, like the garden getting behind because I just couldn't get there. I missed the whole of March and pretty much half of April. The garden still happened, but it has, what I have to work out is it's taken too much time this year. It's taken too much time because I've spent so much time in the garden, it's taken me away from doing any sewing, for needle and thread sewing. But is that because it was all concertinaed into May and June? In other words, if I'd started the garden in March and spread it out more, I would have had more time for sewing. Or, and this is one of the thoughts that's been going around in my mind, is it time to start to think, and this is what I mean about thinking about change, having a nice long slow run in so it's not a shock. Is it time in my mind to start adjusting to the idea that I might need a smaller garden? I hate the thought. I absolutely hate the thought. But I also have to be sensible and sort of, you know, future-proof myself. So I've sown that seed of thought for myself this year about it might be time to consider moving to a smaller plot. I would hate that because of all the work I've put into my garden. But on the other hand, I don't want my garden to be somewhere that kills me. That half kills me trying to do it each year. That's not a decision I'm going to make in a hurry. What will hopefully happen is that next year I won't have so many curveballs thrown at me. I can start the garden earlier, spread it out, and find that, oh, actually, yeah, I can still manage this size of a garden with these needs. I mean, it's a two-pronged exacerbation, if you like, in a way. A lack of time this year, but also obviously my knees get a little bit worse as each year goes by. So, yeah, just, I feel in a way that this year's a bit of a crossroads. I'm not at the crossroads yet, but I am approaching it. I can see it in the distance. There's all sorts of different paths to take when I get to those crossroads. So now as I'm marching towards that crossroads, I can have a think in advance about what I'd like to do, what I think will be best to do. So the garden, downsizing the garden, has been a thought. Hopefully I won't have to. Hopefully next year I'll be back on track. Obviously that decision about moving house and, you know, just once and for all being realistic with myself to say, these stairs, the stairs are killing me, the garden's killing me, the stairs are killing me, everything's killing me. Yeah, I knew it was imminent, this, you know, I'm going to have to move. And I sort of was going backwards and forwards for like pretty much the last year or so, actually. Going backwards and forwards in my mind, looking online at properties all over the country. I mean, I've covered this in another video, so I'm not going to go on about it now, but that whole process of looking at properties up near where my sister lives, looking at properties where my grandparents used to live on the coast in Dorset, which is actually where I would really, really like to live. I can't afford it. And kept coming back to this same thing of feeling just utterly bereft and heartbroken about moving. And then that kind of moment, that almost epiphanic moment of thinking, hang on, stay in this area. This is where your support group is. This is where your friends are. This is where the garden is. This is where all the friendly shopkeepers are. Oh, sorry, excuse me, itchy. I've got one just on the inside of my nose, which itches from time to time. And literally, as soon as I made that decision about, yeah, move, but stay in the area, oh, such a relief, such a relief. It's funny, isn't it, how these things happen. These things seem to all come at once. Do they all come at once, or does one thing come along and then it's like a sort of a domino effect, so that all those other thoughts follow? You know, like I said, I've been thinking about moving for probably a year or so. I know I was definitely thinking about it at the end of last year, because I remember when I had a social bubble with Richard and Paul at New Year's, one evening we spent ages chatting about what we'd all like in a new home, what we fantasise about and where it might be, that sort of thing. I was fantasising about having a really big kitchen so I could have a table in it and have a load of friends around for food. So I know that thought, oh, sorry, hang on a sec. Sorry about that. It's this one is insane making. Yeah, so I know the thoughts about moving have been there long before, say, Auntie Teapot died. And I think the thoughts with the garden, that might be a bit preemptive. I might be thinking like that unnecessarily because, like I said, because the time got squashed, it made it more difficult. And next year, hopefully the time won't be so squashed. I've also been thinking, you know, I really, really, really want to spend more time on sewing and creating. And, you know, all the usual things like this, like bunting, lavender bags, what have you, but also doing some things which are sort of more one-off, unique pieces with a lot of the damaged scraps and stuff of vintage linens. I've got so many ideas. I just want to get on with that kind of stuff. Balance, isn't it? It's all that balance. So as part of that, with all the sewing, I was thinking, well, maybe if I just did 2 videos a week in order to give myself more time to do some sewing, that would be great. But that's hard to do initially because that would mean a drop in income without some income coming in. Yeah. I'm definitely coming up to a crossroads. But it's okay. That's okay with me. I think that would be my advice for anyone. You know, if you're starting to feel like something isn't working for you anymore, or you want it to work better, whatever it is, you know, there are some changes you need to make. I think giving yourself the time to think about things, to adjust to the idea of something new, something different, letting those thoughts, those ideas, letting yourself sit in them, as it were, so that over time, what I hope, this is how I reflect for me anyway, that actually by sitting in those thoughts and ideas for long enough, when the change happens, it kind of doesn't feel like a change because it's been with me for so long already. Does that make sense? It makes sense to me. I always make sense to myself. I think that makes sense, doesn't it? Yes, so, wow. It's a funny pickle of a year. I was thinking this morning as I got up and was thinking, oh yeah, I'll try and film today because I think tomorrow's going to be a rain day. So I think tomorrow's the day I'm going to try and get to the garden when no one else is around. So thinking, yeah, film today. I've just immediately lost my train of thought. I started thinking about something completely different. I don't know what I was about to say. Doolally, absolutely doolally at the moment. No, it's completely gone. Maybe that's a signal for me to shut up and leave you all. No, that thought has absolutely, well and truly escaped. Never mind. So I think let's look ahead to August. No, I haven't been wearing socks over my hands or mittens over my hands to bed. I would be way too hot. I've been quite good about not scratching. Yeah. Oh, that's it. I was saying that this whole year's been a pickle, hasn't it? Oh, it doesn't matter. Look, the bottom line is there are, things happen we can't predict, we can't account for, we can't plan for. The weather. It's been a weird weather year for us in the garden. Cold, wet May, boiling hot first 2 weeks of June, chucking with rain for the last 2 weeks of June. So that's disrupted things. The best we can do is, when things are thrown at us, is to kind of just say, okay, well, if this is what I've got, how am I going to deal with it? Try not to get too stressed, and try not to, wrangle to get control over something that actually you can't have control over, like the weather. Will I, in 2 or 3 years' time, I think that's what I was trying to think, will I in 2 or 3 years' time look back on this year and think, yeah, that was a really important and pivotal year, because that was the year that set such and such a thing in motion and brought me to the place that I am today. I think it may well, with all the thoughts that have been going around this year, I think I may well, shall I have a mystic Meg moment and predict the future? I predict that in 2 or 3 years' time, I'll be looking back on this year and thinking, you know what, that was a tough year. It has been tough. It's been tough emotionally. It's been tough physically. It's been tough mentally. There have been so many stressy things going on behind the scenes. It has been a really tough year so far, but through that's what shapes me. It's what shapes my future. How I respond to it all is what kind of builds me up, just keeps building me up. Bit of a knockdown, get up again, get up stronger. Yes, I am now in airy fairy Vivi headland, so I do need to be quiet. I will see you all again soon, I hope. I was just saying then about going into August. So I've got a lot on my plate, a lot coming up. There was so much that I was hoping to achieve in the last 2 weeks of July that just hasn't happened. That's now all had to be moved forward into August. It's going to be a really busy month, so I don't know how much time I'm going to have to share with you all. I don't know whether it's going to be in the garden, in the kitchen. I have all these plans, but whether they come to fruition or not. And also, yes, I'm well aware, I know a lot of folk have been saying this, about saying, you just have to take a week off, or just take 2 weeks off. You need to rest. Well, you know what? I don't get sick pay. I can't do nothing because I still have to pay my bills. So I do still have to get things done. And there are things which aren't even related to paying the bills that do need my attention. And there are certain time constraints on things. There are things which I do have to do. So it's going to be a really busy month, but I'm going to try to ensure periods of rest, etc., because what I don't want to do is not give my body the chance to properly throw off this virus and end up with some horrible post-viral fatigue that goes on for a year. Don't want that. That would be really a stupid thing for me to do, to push myself so hard that I end up making myself ill for months on end. I'm not going to do that. I'm a sensible lass. So I will see you soon, probably almost certainly in the garden. Yeah, because what I can do... I'm excited to go back to the garden. Richard and Paul, I love them, gave me... When did they give it to me? I can't remember when it was, what occasion, but it wasn't for an occasion. It wasn't like a birthday or Christmas present. They just gave it to me. A Wimbledon brolly, an official Wimbledon brolly. So what I might do, because you haven't seen the garden either, none of us have seen the garden for 2 weeks, is if it is raining, I'll put my big brolly up and we can walk around under the brolly and see what's happened to the garden in my absence. Hopefully it's all okay. And maybe we can dig up some spuds together. Arr, treasure. All right, my lovelies, I will hopefully see you then. In the meantime, please I thought I was scratching off camera. Please look after yourselves. And if you pick up a virus, please do as the nurse says and rest well. I am taking some rest, don't worry. All right, gorgeosities, I'll see you again really soon, I hope. Cheerio for now.